There was a time when Chip Gaines stood quietly on the edge of losing everything. Not the kind of loss people imagine when they look at television success today. Not the smiling man swinging a sledgehammer while millions of viewers laugh along. This was a different moment entirely. A moment when the future of his business hung by a thread. When the houses he invested in refused to sell. When the numbers on paper began to grow heavier with each passing month. Long before the name Magnolia would become a national brand, before tourists would travel across the country to visit Waco, before the farmhouse style spread through neighborhoods across America, Chip Gaines was simply a man trying to keep his small construction ventures alive. There were nights when he slept inside his office, days when the next payroll felt uncertain, weeks when every decision carried the quiet possibility of failure. Today he appears in front of cameras with the same dusty shirt from the job site, a grin that arrives easily, jokes that fill the room before anyone else speaks. The image feels effortless, natural, familiar, but that image hides a much longer road. Because the man the public sees now was shaped long before the cameras ever arrived. And that road did not begin with television. It began with risk. Chip Gaines was born on November 14, 1974 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But the place that would shape nearly every chapter of his life was Texas. Waco in particular, a city that did not promise fame or opportunity, but offered something more practical. A place where work mattered more than image, where reputation traveled through conversations rather than advertisements. His childhood did not unfold inside creative studios or entrepreneurial circles. There were no early signs of television, branding, or large business systems. Life moved through simple rhythms. School, sports, responsibility. Like many families in working communities, success was measured through effort rather than recognition. Work came first. Plans were made carefully. Risks were approached cautiously. Chip, however, developed a slightly different instinct. From a young age, he was drawn toward action before certainty. Not recklessness, something closer to curiosity. If something could be fixed, he wanted to touch it himself. If a problem appeared, he preferred to try solving it rather than waiting for someone else to decide. It was a habit that quietly separated him from others around him. Not better, not smarter, simply more willing to start before everything was perfectly understood. That small difference would eventually shape his entire career. During high school he played baseball, a sport built on quick decisions and constant adjustment. Every game demanded awareness. Every mistake had to be corrected almost immediately. You swing. You miss. You adjust. You swing again. The rhythm leaves little room for hesitation. Practices stretched long into the evening. Games required concentration even when pressure mounted. Losing was part of the experience, but it never lasted long enough to become permanent. There was always another game, another inning, another chance to improve. Without realizing it, Chip began absorbing a mindset that would later define his work. Do something. Fix what goes wrong. Keep moving. When he entered Baylor University in Waco, that instinct followed him. He studied business administration, though traditional classroom learning never fully captured his attention. The theories inside textbooks felt distant from the world he observed outside campus buildings. What fascinated him more were the small operations happening around him. Local services, independent businesses, people creating income through simple ideas. The mechanics of daily work. While other students focused entirely on degrees and future corporate paths, Chip started experimenting. Small ventures, laundry services, landscaping jobs, any opportunity that could generate income while teaching him how businesses actually functioned. None of these ventures were glamorous. Most produced modest profits. Some barely survived long enough to matter. But each attempt added experience. He learned how to attract customers, how to handle unexpected costs, how to recover when something failed. It became a continuous loop of trial and adjustment. When one idea stopped working, another replaced it. When a model collapsed, he rebuilt a new one. There was never a master plan guiding these early years. Only movement, and movement created understanding. By the time he graduated from Baylor in 1998, The path ahead did not lead toward a traditional office job. Instead, it led toward houses. Old ones, damaged ones, the kind most people avoided. The first house he purchased required extensive repairs. Floors had to be replaced, walls repainted, electrical systems updated. Each task demanded time, effort, and patience. Mistakes happened frequently. Costs rose unexpectedly. Projects stretched longer than expected. But eventually the house was completed, then sold. The profit was modest, but it proved something important. The process worked. So he tried again. Another house, another renovation, another sale. The pattern repeated itself. Find, fix, sell. There were no cameras watching. No television crews documenting progress. Only quiet construction sites and a young entrepreneur learning through experience. With each project, he grew more comfortable walking through empty homes, imagining how they could become something new. What others saw as broken structures, he saw as potential. In 2003, the work began evolving into something more organized. Chip established Magnolia Realty and Magnolia Homes, creating a formal structure for buying, renovating, and selling houses. The scale remained small. Operations remained local. But a system had begun forming. Each project added knowledge. Each renovation refined the process. Slowly, a network of contractors and workers developed around him. Waco became the center of everything. The city's housing market demanded practicality rather than extravagance. Buyers valued function and comfort more than luxury. Renovations focused on improving how homes worked rather than transforming them into extravagant showpieces. Walls were opened to create better living spaces. Floors replaced. Lighting improved. Rooms reimagined for modern life. The work remained steady for several years. Then the housing crisis of 2008 arrived. Across the United States, property values collapsed as financial systems faltered. Loans tightened. Buyers disappeared. Houses remained on the market far longer than expected. For investors dependent on steady transactions, the consequences were severe. Magnolia felt the pressure immediately. Homes that should have sold quickly remained unsold. Cash flow slowed. Loans still required payment. Material costs continued. Labor wages remained due. The numbers on every spreadsheet grew heavier. During this period, Chip began experiencing long nights without sleep. Each financial decision carried increasing weight. The pressure did not explode suddenly. It stretched slowly across months. Late evenings reviewing budgets. Early mornings recalculating expenses. Conversations with banks. Adjustments to projects. Loans were renegotiated. Construction slowed. Some plans were paused entirely. There was no dramatic rescue moment. Only patience and persistence. Project by project, Magnolia survived the storm.